Good morning, everybody. It is 9 o'clock, and we will get today's cross-country running section managers meeting underway. Hard to believe, especially given the extended warm, dry weather where most of us are experiencing, that we are making preparations for postseason tournaments and all of our activities. Laura reminded me that this section managers meeting is first for our fall tournaments, although we will not be the first tournaments to be held. But I believe tennis managers will also be meeting this afternoon. Just want to thank you for taking the time to join us here during this meeting. I know I've heard from a number of section managers who are also assisting with the Roy Griak meet this week tomorrow. And we're not able to be on the call. And so thanks to those that are joining via the recording that will be posted in dashboards for region secretaries and section managers as well. We'll move on to the agenda and just informed you that we will be recording this meeting. You'll be able to come back to it any time. The slides will also be shared with you. We're going to review the website and a number of resources available to you. And we've got Laura from our office that will join us. I believe I saw Tim Layton on the call. We'll talk media, and then we'll get into the kind of nuts and bolts of the meet management process, starting with section entry, all the way moving into state qualifier information as we close out the meeting today. The good news, there's not a lot of things that have changed. So if you are a section manager that has hosted meets previously, much of what you see here and will need to do for this year's section meet will be the same as previous years. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Laura Mockentune from our office, Director of Information Systems and Communication. And so she will take us through the next several slides, highlighting our website and many of the resources available to you. Laura?
Thanks, Charlie, and good morning, everyone. A few things to get you started. As a tournament manager, you should have a tournament personnel dashboard. These have existed for, I believe, the last 3 to 4 years. If you have hosted tournaments before, you likely have this. If you happen to be a new person, this is something that you need to get set up. This is where we put all of the information for you as you prepare to set up a tournament. If you are an AD also, you toggle between those two dashboards up near the header of yours. It will open up when you log in. It'll open up into your AD dashboard, and then you toggle to this tournament personnel dashboard. If you happen to be a person who is just a tournament manager, this will open right up for you. And again, if you are not finding your tournament personnel dashboard, reach out to us at the league, info@mshsl.org, and we'll get you set up with that. Moving ahead, as you get to that tournament personnel dashboard, one of the things that you'll find there is a website help guide. There are a few things in the next few slides that we'll be asking you to do. All of those directions are under this button with the website help guide. You'll find a number of one-pagers behind that to assist you in your tasks. Also on your tournament personnel dashboard, you will find a school and a coach directory. The coach directory will let you search and sort by your section so that you have easy access to that coach email information. So if you're looking for contacts for those participating in your meets, this is your spot to move for that. Moving ahead, again, 3 things that we ask you to do. One is to make sure that your section event information is accurate. Secondly, we ask you to post information for participants. And then thirdly, for the general public. And again, as we walk through these, each of these slides gives you some information and then also tells you where you can find the directions for these. The first thing we ask you to do is to post section tournament dates and locations. For many of you, your region secretaries have already done this. They tend to do this over the summer as they're looking at their whole calendar. But for you to go in and double check to make sure that this is there. The easiest place to see if this has been done is to go to either the boys or girls cross country page, go to that gold button about section tournaments, and then filter down and find yours and see if this is in there and if it's accurate. If it's not, work with your region secretary using those directions down at the bottom, and they'll get that posted for you. These dates and times populate in a large number of places across the website. They populate onto coach and AD dashboards. They're on the public side. This is kind of that one spot that when we put a date, a number of people see it. So if it's wrong in a lot of places. And when it's right in every place that we have. The second thing we ask you to do is to post information for your teams that are participating. Each of our sports on our coach and AD dashboard, they have a band that looks like this. This is a girls volleyball example. Yours would say cross country running boys or cross country running girls. This is where coaches and ADs go to find what we would term everything about cross country. On the left-hand side, there are a number of activity resources that are annual that come out of our office. On the right-hand side are state tournament resources. And in the middle section is where you can post things for your specific section meet. And again, this helps those coaches and ADs to have everything in one place. Years ago, these are things we might have emailed out, but we all know what our email box looks like. We can't often find things when we need them. And by posting everything in one place, it allows those coaches and ADs to find it. So this is any kind of a schedule that you might have, any types of information, course maps, etc., that would be going to the participants in your section meet. The next slide is similar, but at the same time, very different. This is posting information for the general public, people who might attend your meet. And you have an opportunity there, and we ask you to post a schedule of some kind ahead of time and results after that section meet. This is what the general public sees. So when they go to our cross-country page and they filter down by your section, they'll see a button off on the right-hand side that says either schedule or results. And that's where the general public, those that want to come and attend your meet as a spectator, that's where they're going to look for that information. Susie, I believe that we missed a slide up above that talked about where the resources for them are. Number 4. I was waiting for this slide to come up and it didn't. So number 4 is one more piece of information for you. On your dashboard, you'll see a button called Section Tournament Management Resources. And this is really the spot where Susie, Charlie, and others are putting things for you as that section tournament manager. So from that spot on your dashboard, you'll pick Fall Tournament Management Documents, and then inside there's a folder for cross country. Over on the right-hand side, Susie's made a list of the kinds of things that she will be putting in there if she has not already for you in that folder. And again, those are things that years ago we would have probably put in the USPS mail to you and or emailed out to you. But this is a collection of where all of those documents are going. So as you prepare to host your tournament or your meet, this is your spot to get your resources for that. Susie, Charlie, that I believe is all I have. If there's anything that I missed and you want to clean up for me, would appreciate that. Otherwise, back to you, Charlie.
Well done, Laura, and thank you. The website continues to be that useful central tool. The volume of traffic on it continues to grow, and we want to use it to assist you, but also assist our coaches and attendees, both those competitors, but also our public as well. So appreciate all the work that's gone into to making this work for the many interested parties, Laura. And I think with that, we're gonna jump back ahead to slide 11 and welcome Tim Layton into the conversation to Talk Media.
Very good. Thank you, Charlie, and good morning, everyone. And thank you so much for playing your vitally important role as being a section administrator for cross country. Cross country is a very robust event that is going to draw all sorts of media attention. So please expect that there will be media presence at your events. For the policies and guidelines at the section level, those are designed to mirror what happens at the state tournament level. And so there's some consistency, there's harmony there where it comes as media administration comes into play. A couple of things to think about when you're planning your media pieces. Don't forget the region committee. They are the governing body of your regions, and they make decisions about media coverage. Now, most of the 16 region committees work in harmony with the Minnesota State High School League, and they will talk to us. They will ask us our opinion on their media management pieces. So please reach out to the league if you need any help or any assistance as it relates to planning for your media coverage. The most important resource that you have on this is the approved media list. The approved media list is found on the league's media page, and that is a list of all the proper organizations that have been approved and vetted by the league. They are permitted access to those cross-country events. Streaming. Please remember that streaming is a joint approval of your region committee and the Minnesota State High School League. Any other pieces, please feel free to get a hold of me. Something to think about too, as you move forward, is there a workspace that you can provide for the media? Now, most of these events take place during the day, and so they will have time, that media will have time to get back to their offices or another place where they can file their stories. But as you prepare for media, maybe perhaps consider something that might be available for media to do their work on site. That's all I have for you today. Again, thank you so much for your role in hosting these terrific events. The league is greatly appreciative. And again, please let us know what we can do to help you with your media services. With that, Charlie, back to you.
Great. Thank you, Tim, and appreciate your work with our media. We're going to now walk through just almost in a sense chronologically the how this meet's going to go from start to finish. And that's going to, of course, start with the section entry process. This is the process where the coaches submit their roster of 9, 7 whom will run, and 2 of whom can be named as alternates to be used in the section meet if necessary. And here to just kind of walk us through what this process looks like is Josh Gerber from Wayzata Results. So Josh, if you could unmute and just maybe walk us through here the section entry process that will be used.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. No change from last year. All the section meets have been created. Invites have not been sent out yet, but they will go out at some point shortly. So all, like I said, all the meets are on athletic.net now, but they're locked down. Once invites are sent, the section entries will open on October 1st. And then the deadline as provided via the spreadsheet that Charlie and Susie sent out. Seems like pretty much everyone's requested the same file format. We will again send multiple updates to both teams, and if region or section managers would like an update of who hasn't done entries, we can certainly help you with that. Like in the past, there will be no access other than our staff into the entry site at any point. We'll try to send reminders 3 days before, 2 days before, the day before, 12 hours, 6 hours, 4 hours, to those who have not done it yet. There are no more test files are going to be sent. Everyone, it's been the same timing companies and section people for years, so it's been decided that we're just not going to send test files. There seems to be almost no point to them to be sent anymore. So that's been removed. Do you want me to talk about the errors, Charlie?
Yeah, you go ahead, Josh, and you know, maybe we might have to take a few questions there, but I think that would be good to touch on.
Okay. So one thing that comes up in cross country and in track is, you know, name errors or grade errors. This is the information the coaches have put in the system. I have not touched it. Parents have not touched it. So this is the information that coaches have put in. So if there's anything that's wrong, it's on their end, and they can go into athletic.net, into their roster, and make those changes. Do not make team name changes from the files that we send you. Those are the official names from the high school league website, and we go through those as we invite teams to each section. So if they're wrong right now, it's just because we haven't had I don't have the time right now at this exact moment to go through every single team change and every section. So, but that will happen when the invites are sent out. So the correct team names are used at the section championships and then again at the state championship. Do not change athlete names. If a name is spelled wrong, it needs to stay wrong. Otherwise, the export or the import back into athletic.net will not work. So if there is a team or if there's an athlete name change, the coach has to go in and do it themselves. Otherwise, the merge won't work, and we may advance someone who shouldn't be advanced into the state meet. And this is not my rule, but per the league rule, there are no substitutions at the meet without, I'm assuming Charlie can discuss the policy on that, but.
Yeah, and you know, our policy, which is included in the section manager's guide. But once the deadline has been established, and has been reached, the entry deadline, those contestants, including the two alternates, are basically entered into that meet, and so changes are not going to happen at that time or after that time. That is the part of the justification for having two alternates listed, so that coaches do have that flexibility when a runner may not be able to compete for whatever reason may present itself. And so if you have questions, you know, please let us know, but we do want to maintain consistency with that. And we do want to communicate very clearly to our coaches that they need to have their information ready, submitted accurately by the deadline that's been established from the region secretary or the section management. Any questions right now on the entry process by folks on the call? Feel free to unmute and ask that question, or drop it into chat if that's more comfortable for you.
Charlie, this is John Resman. With regard to no substitutions, I thought in the high school rules it says that there are some exceptions that, like after a section meet, you're allowed to maybe change your 7 members. Maybe if someone gets injured or something like that. I thought it says except as exceptions allowed in the high school rule league book. Do you know what those exceptions are offhand or?
Yeah, those would be medical exceptions, John, and that would happen for team qualifiers only. When that whole team, we treat teams a little bit differently than we do the individuals. So with the individual tournament, there are absolutely no substitutions allowed. You know, once we've you know, kind of reach that entry deadline, but we do make some exception for teams. And we typically work with schools directly when that happens, and would require some sort of documentation from attending physician when there's an illness or injury that would cause a change to be made.
Okay, yeah, thanks for clarifying. I thought there was maybe an exception for the team ones.
Yep, thanks, John. Good question. Any others?
I'll just mention one other thing. This is only the high school league has asked us to do entries for the varsity competition only. So if your section has a JV competition, that is up to you and your timer to handle JV stuff. We will not be handling that for you via the high school league account on athletic.net. So if your section has JV competition, that's up to your timer to determine how best to do entries. We will not be managing those for you unless it's the section that we time.
Great, thanks, Josh. All right, we'll move forward with to our next slide. And just want to talk about the next two slides are, I think, just really helpful, maybe best practice, best information for successful management of our contests. And kind of a new point of emphasis for us this year in the State High School League is the idea of a pre-contest administrative and medical timeout. We refer to this as a highly recommended practice. It is not a required practice, but we do recommend it. And the wonderful thing about cross country is that we typically throughout the season, we have pre-race meetings with our coaches. And this pre-contest administrative and medical timeout is a chance for coaches, participating coaches, for the officials of the meet, for the medical staff, and the site supervisor or the meet manager to come together and to share information relative to the successful execution of this particular contest. And so we go into the health and safety. So it could be, reviewing where the trainer and or medical team that is there, where they're going to be located, how we might access them and use them, both for normal injury and for emergencies. It could be where is the AED? What are the weather conditions? Are we expecting good weather? Is there poor weather? What is the adjustment or the reaction going to be if we have to suspend the contest or vacate the premises? And of course, cross country is very different. We're not inside a building. And so we have things like air quality we need to work with. We have things with lightning. We have temperature. All could be issues for us. In addition, we get into the game administration and management, and we'll talk a little bit more about that on the next slide as well. But there could be unique aspects to the venue. There could be a building, but you really don't want participants going inside the building. So it would be a place where you would review different topics that are specific to the site that everyone's competing on and converging on for that particular day. And again, there might be some specific emergency plans relative to the space that you are using. And then finally, it's just to review contest expectations, and if there are issues, who will be responsible for them, how they will be dealt with in an effort to support the participants and the officials in particular. And that brings us to our next slide, which is not necessarily new information for you, but over the last 2 school years, and this has received a couple of updates for the 24-25 school year, but these are our behavior expectations, which is board approved, but really a document that largely comes from our students who are saying, this is what we want the experiences for us to be. Now, we all know that cross country tends to be an atmosphere where everybody is supporting everybody. It often feels much different than a football game or a basketball game, soccer, lacrosse, where it's really a head-to-head, very physical sort of kind of a dueling contest. But this is a great document to review. It exists in your dashboards. There is a toolkit with resources on how to use these expectations, including PDFs of flyers that you could hand out, digital graphics, if that's something that's available to you at your section meet. It maybe wouldn't be, but it's just a good document to review as meet managers and with your coaching staff and with those participants as well. Another section of this document is requirements of attendees. And you may have additional requirements that go above and beyond this based on the venue that you're using. So again, use this as you see fit, but it is a tool and a resource available to help you. We'll continue moving on into
Oh, Charlie,
yeah.
on that page that you have listed on there under requirements of attendees under prohibited items.
Yep.
Under the last section, it says cameras are prohibited on section and state tournament sites. Cameras and tripods what's the intent of that, or to not allow cameras? I mean, I assume it's gonna be hard to tell parents not to bring their cameras to section meet.
Yeah, John, and the distinguishment is we're in essence we do not want professional photography equipment. We know there will be personal portable cameras. People will be using their phones. It is not our intention to turn those folks away. But the large industrial professional zoom lenses, tripods where people are capturing professional level, we want to reserve that to our media and to those who have rights to capture those. So, John, the intention is not to prohibit all cameras, but those that are clearly professional in nature.
Okay,
Yeah, Charlie, if I may, just for additional information, the basic point and shoot camera with a lens that's no longer than 2 inches, those are typically allowed and within our guidelines. To Charlie's point about lenses that are longer, those are typically reserved for the professional media, and you need to be approved as such.
I mean, a lot of parents will have zoom lenses, which aren't, like the big 1 foot longs or 5 inch in diameter ones, right? The zoom lenses that go from 80 millimeter to 200, they're kind of compact. I assume you have no issues with those.
That would be
I mean,
correct, Don. That's not our intention.
yeah, I mean, I have a zoom lens that's not very big, but it zooms up to 200 millimeters, right? And I've
Correct.
used it. Okay.
All right, we'll move on to slide 15 here. And just want to, always be mindful of the chain of command, and we don't communicate this information so as to move Charlie farther away from your meet management. But being mindful that the region is the responsible entity for this particular event. And so as a section manager, we want you to work closely with the region secretary. Region secretary will work with their region committee and myself should different problems arise. It's not that I don't want to help, but we always want to make sure that your region management and region leadership is aware of any types of issues that you may be experiencing with your meet. In addition, we are going to request, although it's not required, but would like you to consider using eligible officials. For those that may be new to managing cross country, track and field and cross country share the same rule book. We do in Minnesota require the use of eligible officials, at least one for track meets, but we do not require it by bylaw for cross country running events. However, given the nature of a kind of a terminal race that has advancing contestants, we believe it's and strongly encourage the use of eligible officials. They're going to be able to help you, administer this meet in the fairest manner possible, work through any, rules that might be questionable or may be broken, and they'll have a comfort level and a familiarity with that. Some information here on the rule modifications and the uniform rule back to that section manager's resources that Laura referenced earlier in the meeting. You're going to find all kinds of information there regarding the proper uniforms and language that supports how we really want our contestants to look and appear in this particular meet. And of course, being mindful of weather. We have language that does not allow for hats, but we also know at the end of October, we could have some very cold weather come through, and want to make sure that you have a games committee assembled and can make some of those decisions regarding whether you might allow hats to be used just to protect the contestants throughout the duration of the contest. And so again, reviewing our weather-related policies, and then know that our meet must be completed, your section meet must be completed by Saturday, October 26th. We need that information in our office as long as possible prior to the state competition, the state tournament, which will be held on the following Saturday, November 2nd. And so we need all of that time in the preparation. And so that's why we established that date. If you're looking ahead at weather forecasts, work with your region secretary, think about how you might adjust a schedule if required to do so, or if it makes sense to do so. And then just want to remind folks that as we advance to the state meet, the first and second place teams The next 6 individuals who are not members of those advancing teams, we have the tiebreaker language here, but I'm going to encourage you to check back to your rules and policies document and have a copy of the NFHS rules. Because those are going to supersede what anyone thinks should be done in the event that you have a tie. And as you get to the conclusion of your meet, please have your timer send the results directly to Josh Gerber. That process has worked really well. And then you, as the section manager or the region secretary, however that responsibility has been delegated, should publish those final results to the league website, as Laura talked about sooner. At this time, I want to maybe open up to some questions, rules related questions. We do have John Pursoon. He is our state rules coordinator for track and field and cross country. He has joined us on this call. And if there are any questions related to the rules, or John, just any points of emphasis that should be made now here in the last couple of minutes while we have this group together.
And the only one that really comes to mind is something that the National Federation has kind of emphasized, especially given the warm weather we've had lately, is, making sure that, and this more applies to coaches, I guess, than region secretaries of the dangers of doing competitions, when it's warm and with the heat and everything else. And hopefully we won't be dealing with that at the end of October when you guys are running your meets, but it's something to keep in mind, right? So that it's just a whole severe weather thing, right? To make sure that we keep our athletes safe and healthy. So that's really the only thing that comes to mind.
Thanks, John. Any questions for John?
I have a question on the uniform rules, how we say the visible garments that are visible, they have to be the same color. And then, the rules say, well, with the exception of sports bras and briefs. And are compression shorts, are they considered briefs, or what's a brief? Because some of the compression.
Yeah, I kind of go by how much of it is visible, right? If it comes down to just above the knee, that's no longer a brief. That's kind of an undergarment. They need to be the same color. If it's a compression short that you can barely see it when they have their uniform shorts on, we're not gonna police that, right? But if there's a significant amount, and I would say more than an inch of the compression short visible, then that is really an undergarment, and they need to be the same solid color.
Okay, so an inch is kind of anything up to about an inch or so. You're not going to worry about inch to.
Yeah, if they're standing still, upright, and you can see a little bit of it, I'm not going to worry about it. But if you're standing upright and you can see, anywhere more than a half inch to an inch, then yeah, we need to say that's an undergarment. If it's while they're running, it's not as big of a concern to me, I guess, because that's hard to differentiate. But I hope that clears things up.
Yeah, that helps, because I was wondering if it just extends a little bit below, like you say, for an inch, and is that we'll just ignore that? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we get that question a lot. We get it every year in the fall for cross country. We also get it for relay teams and track and field as well in the springtime. And again, the intention is this is a team competing together for their school, for their community. And to the extent that that the rule allows, we do want them to have the same appearance in terms of their dress. And so, yeah, work with your meet officials as you communicate that information out ahead of time. We'll move on to the last slide here. And just a note to your participating schools at the section meet, for those that advance, you can share with them that there's nothing to give them other than the medals that they've earned at your meet. There's nothing that you can give them regarding advancement to the state competition. That will be provided online with a participating schools guide. And in the next couple of weeks, we will be recording a state qualifiers or state participating schools video, just a short video that will highlight what teams and participants can expect in that experience. So that too will be shared with participants and live in that state tournament resources section of the dashboard. And there's my contact information if you need it. And again, if there are some issues, the best place to start is with your region secretary. But we are here to support you as well. And I'll open it up to questions in just a moment, but kind of some parting comments from me. Just a reminder that for the vast majority of our cross-country participants, this is the last meet that they're going to participate in this season. And for our seniors, it's likely their last event in cross-country that they're ever going to have. To the extent that you can, please try to provide a just first-rate experience for them. And that starts with great communication about the meet, what they can expect as they arrive on site, what types of amenities might be available for them. Do you have enough porta potties? Do you have a place where kids can stay warm if cold weather is going to be on hand? Do you have a process by which you're going to recognize and hand out your awards that maybe just raises the bar from what would be typical at a regular season competition? And so just want to encourage you in that way. Want to say again, thank you for being a section manager. Some of you have no choice. It's your school's turn. And I can see Norm smiling, saying, yeah, Charlie, that is me. But Norm, I know you'll do a great job, as will others on this call, in doing that. And we just thank you and appreciate your efforts so much. It just takes all of us to do this well, and know it's appreciated. With that, I'll hang out here for a little bit. If there are any questions, feel free to stay on and ask. Otherwise, thanks again, and have a great day.
Hey Charlie, this is Paul. Okay.
Hey, Paul.
Hey, sorry if I missed it. I stepped away for a quick second. So looking at the meet manager's guide, we're getting 10 medals this year for individual finishers.
Yeah, that's correct. That matches. So there'd be 9, all 7 runners, your 2 alternates, and 1 for the coach.
But it says we're getting first through 10th place finishers, individual finishers.
For the I'm sorry, I was thinking for your
The
team
team.
qualifiers.
Yep.
Yes, first through 10th place team finishers.
And that's new from that's in addition from last year, right? I think.
I guess I'm not sure. I know that's above and beyond track, but I know that's consistent between section and state.
Okay, perfect. Just want to make sure I'm counting them correctly when I get them.
Yep.
I have a question, Charlie. In the meet manager's guide, it says that cell phones are not allowed in the competition area. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
I would maybe just ask John. I think that's more of a rule, could be considered an aid in terms of communication during an event between participants and coaches.
Yeah, for cross country, that's something really difficult to police, right? To say no cell phones available in the competition area. The competition area is really, if you think of a cross country area, is it the entire venue, or is it just the course, right? So we don't want them in the starting area. That's the biggest thing. So keep them out of the starting area so that number one, so that people aren't distracted. They can actually hear announcements and things like that from the public address and from officials. Again, I don't want our meet management, our officials, going and telling people to put your cell phones away. They're going to use them to take pictures and things like that, right? It's reasonable use. Obviously, there's the rule that you cannot communicate with a runner. So they can't have earbuds in during the race. That's not allowed. Anyway, GPS watches and Apple watches, they are allowed, but they're not. The coaches are not allowed to communicate with the runners during the race. That's the biggest thing, right? How do you prevent that? I don't know, right? That's a tough one. That this rule was enacted long before there were such things as Apple watches and Google watches, right? Where you can actually get text messages during the race. So that it's just going to have to be, did someone report it, right? That's kind of all you can go by. So again, cell phones, competition area, it's obviously on the race course they're not allowed, but use common sense. That's always my biggest go-to with rules like this, right? Use common sense. If you see it being a disruption, tell them they need to put it away. Does that make sense?
Are coaches allowed to communicate with each other by cell phone on the course, you know, as they're spectating, and are they allowed to talk to each other?
Again, I don't know, how do you distinguish that? How do you my biggest thing with a rule like that is how do you enforce it? Are we going to assign an official to every coach to walk around and make sure they're not calling other coaches? You really can't do that, right? How do you distinguish who a coach is and who isn't on the course? There's really no way to enforce that type of rule. So there's nothing in the rule book that says that coaches can't communicate with each other. It only says they cannot communicate with their athletes.
Okay, so the intent of that rule is just to prevent coaches from communicating with their athletes during the race.
Yes.
And that's the goal or spirit of that rule, and coaches can talk to each other if they want to.
Yep.
Give kind of updates or how someone is feeling, or that's okay to do.
Again, I don't know I don't know how you would enforce that. So
Okay.
Hi, this is Chris Round from Section 4. I have a question about size of the boxes and officially how many teams we could actually put in it. In Class A, I've now gotten up to 25 teams, I think, in Class A. So I'm wondering, what is the best efficient way to be putting that number of teams in boxes on the course?
So the rule book, and I don't have the rule right in front of me, I can look it up real quick here, but it does specify a minimum size for the box. And I want to say it's
I think that's
1
like
meter.
2 meters or something, or 3 meters or something.
Yeah, I
like
can't
that.
remember what it is, but to put 2 teams in a box like that, that's putting. Now you start to get jostling of who's going to get in the front and everything else, and it becomes an issue, right? So you really want to make sure that each team has their own box, and just if you just got to make sure your starting line and has so that you can fit all those teams in, right? And you're just going to have to work it out. Unfortunately, I don't know. I don't have any other advice beyond that. So.
Okay. Because it's kind of hard on a golf course to find 250 feet straight of open space.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. And that's, that's a good problem to have. That means we have more and more teams participating. But it might be that we need to look at the sizes of the different sections and do we need to start moving those, especially in the Class A, do we need to start moving them to different sections? Right. But that's doesn't help you this year, but that's something I think the high school league needs to look at. Sorry, I didn't answer your question probably adequately, Chris, but.
Gonna do what ADs do, Chris. You're gonna solve the problem.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about solve it, but we'll just skip right over it.
You'll navigate it, right? Yeah, I get you. Well, it's a really good question, and yeah, there are venues present challenges, and I was just trying to look quickly at
Is there also, just as another side note to that, I have a lot of new schools that they use the section meet as like their single competition. Is there a minimum that they have to participate in the regular season in order to participate?
There is, Chris. They have to participate in 3 regular season contests to be eligible for postseason competition.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, and that would be a great thing to verify, and not that we're looking to exclude anybody, but we want to make sure that everybody that is there is entitled to be there and should be there according to bylaw, and
Okay.
that could help you a little bit with your space problem as well.
So if I put in my language that I plan on sending that out next week and say, hey, we're 4 or 5 weeks away, reminder, you need to participate in 3 regular season meets before you participate, would be good.
That would be really good. Yeah, especially if you've got new schools or new teams to cross country. That would be actually appreciated, Chris.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, thank you. Good questions.
So yeah, so Chris, just to clarify, 6 feet is the minimum box size. So you do have to starters should have a 2-inch wide starting line mark at the beginning of a lengthy straightaway, wide enough to accommodate all teams. The width of of the number of teams multiplied by 6 feet.
Okay.
Oh, no, yeah, I know that's an issue. I mean, we have 23 teams and I think I can get 6 feet, but some years I've gone to 5 feet. I mean, that's just what's available and they fit in
And-
there,
and
but
that's-
5 feet, you can get 2 or 3 runners in there and that's,
As, to me, as long as every box is the same width, right? If you have to fudge and do 5 feet 6 inches or 5 feet, that's what you have to do. Just make sure every box is the same width and they're all equidistant from the inside of that first turn so that no team is put at a disadvantage by having to run longer to get to that first turn.
Hey, Charlie, I have a question on the section meet manager's guide.
Yep.
On page 3, at the bottom of page 3 on that guide, let me. In the award section there.
Yeah, what's the question, John?
On that section in section B, where it talks about the individual qualifiers who don't finish in first to 10th. That second sentence says the medals 8 total for these individuals. I assume that's supposed to be 6 total.
Yeah, and mine says 6 total.
Oh.
So I'm wondering if
This is one I'm looking at that was sent out.
yeah, I don't know if there's
Okay.
something with your cache or your cookies. Maybe it had the same file name, and it could. Sometimes our technology will open up a previous version of that file.
Okay,
Um,
I'll double check that. Okay, but yours says 6.
yeah,
Okay,
mine does show 6.
And I
John,
can double check that too, John.
all right.
and if
Thank
you
you.
if you get a couple extras, just feel free to hang on to them.
I'll send them to you.
Sounds good. All right, any other questions from the group? Excellent. Well, we're gonna end this meeting and this recording, so thanks again, and good luck with your section meet. If we can be assistance between now and then, please let us know. Thanks. everyone.
Charlie,
Yeah.
Rob Nielsen,
Hey,
just real
Rob.
quick, I got called into another meeting. I assume this is gonna be recorded. Will it,
Yeah, you're being recorded right now.
okay, will it just be in that section stuff through the dashboard to find it in there?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay, and then just last question, I was just quickly looking on this section manager's guide. On that first page, it has where we need to fill out the cross-country, or section cross-country form.
Yep.
That's linking to last year's. I think we already started filling that out. When I click on it, it has all last year's dates and names and people.
Yeah, I wonder if that's weird because mine doesn't, so
Okay,
if
that was the one that was attached to the email.
Oh, yeah, Charlie, mine also has the 2023 link for that on the one that I'm looking at, even though it says 24, 25. And it also says utilize the 2023 cross-country running rules, policies, and bylaws link too. It links to 23. And even though the topic says 2024, 25, and it's got like the section media date is October 26. So it seems like it's updated, but it's got a couple of those old things, links on there, and mine also.
So interesting. Well, we'll look into that. And it's funny, John,
Yep.
I'm looking at the 2024 and is your meet on October 24th?
Mine,
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yeah, mine is
entry
too.
deadline October 22, and I mean I'm seeing in Rob you're yeah, October 20. So it's all filled out, and I think as I look at it, that form is filled out correctly. I am not sure why you guys are linking to something different.
yeah, and it's taken me to the 2023 section cross-country data when I click on that link.
Well,
Yeah, I
we'll
have to,
This is
figure that out.
crazy.
to get to the 2024 link, I have to go to the initial note that Susie sent out, a month ago, and that's how I get to that 2024 link, going to the cross-country guide one that's got the 2023. And do you also see, I see where it says, just 2 paragraphs after that, it says about the cross-country rules and guidelines. Mine says 2023 cross-country rules guidelines. It doesn't say 2024.
Yeah, mine is the same.
You see 2023 cross-country running rules, policies and bylaws.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just forwarded you to what I have, so you guys can look at it and see if something's wonky or what.
Sounds good. Well, know that we'll get it right. The real links and documents do exist. We promise you that.
I
but-
trust you. I know how technology works. I've been there long enough, but
Yeah,
I didn't know if it was just us or I want to make sure everybody wasn't seeing the wrong thing. So
I think it's just you and John. That's what
It's
Susie and I are
probably-
going with.
that wouldn't surprise me. Probably wouldn't surprise you either that shit didn't work for me. The way my last 10 days is going, Charlie, I wouldn't rule anything out.
All right.
Might
Well,
be a whole
Rob,
conspiracy.
things are going to look up moving forward. I just know it. So thanks for letting us know. We'll get to the bottom of that and make sure everybody's got access to the right stuff.
All right,
And I'll make
thanks,
sure the
Charlie.
right
Take
ones-
care.
I'll make
Yeah.
sure the right one's posted.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.